We should never forget, ladies and gentlemen, we should never forget that under the NDC, we had the messy liquidations of the BCCI in 1999 and the closure and liquidation by the Bank of Ghana in the year 2000 of the Cooperative Bank and the Bank for Housing and Construction. Also under NDC, the collapse of DKM and the proliferation of unlicensed financial services such as PIRAM, R5, God is Love Fan Club, Men's Gold, and others that took advantage of their customers. With this background, I find the NDC's newfound care for indigenous firms quite baffling, given the number of indigenous firms that collapsed under 4 years of doomsday under their government. Why didn't their government bail those firms out? Those firms that collapsed as a result of doomsday. Where were the specific policies to support them? Do they know how many jobs were lost? What did they do about that if they cared so much about jobs? What about the jobs of the microfinance companies that collapsed under their watch? Did those people not matter? Well, still, they are telling people, the people of Ghana, that they would have kept the indigenous institutions alive, even after they found that they had obtained their licenses, in some cases, based on false and non-existent capital, or after it became obvious that they had siphoned off depositors' funds and the liquidity support that the Bank of Ghana had provided to those institutions. Is their idea of an indigenous financial sector one that is characterized by fraud or unlawful activities? Ladies and gentlemen, if you own a business and you employ somebody and they bring their certificate, you employ them, give them a job, and then later on you find out that they have actually presented a fake certificate to obtain the job, and not only that, they are stealing your money to build a house, will you not sack them from work? Will you not sack them from work? You will not keep them in employment. Will you say that because this person is from my village, I can keep him with a fake certificate and allow him to continue stealing my money? You wouldn't say that. A lot of these banks were engaged in fraudulent practices and poor corporate governance, and the licenses, some of the licenses were obtained fraudulently. And therefore, the Bank of Ghana had to take action against them. We cannot say simply because you are indigenous banks, we should allow you to collapse the entire banking system. Nobody takes any pleasure in revoking a license of any institution. It must be a painful exercise. And I'm sure the Bank of Ghana, took its time in doing this. But it is important to note that all the 9 indigenous banks that were closed were to a large extent taken over by 2 Ghanaian indigenous banks, GCB and CBG. So we are ensuring stronger Ghanaian ownership in the banking sector. Also, the Ghana Amalgamated Trust, with 100% Government of Ghana ownership, has successfully invested in 4 indigenous banks that were unable to meet the new capital requirements. It is noteworthy, let us note, that no bank was closed only on account of not meeting the new minimum capital requirement of 400 million. No bank was closed because they couldn't meet that. There were other matters that resulted in closures.